but that's alright.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yo guys, what is up? Moxsy on our Wonderlands video, and today we got some new information on hero points. Now, we knew what hero points were, but we didn't know what they affected, how you acquire them, the dramatic backstories that will influence them, and so much more. I hope you guys enjoy the breakdown of what hero points are and how they're going to affect your character. Also, I hope you guys are enjoying the Wonderlands content. The steady stream of little Wonderlands info tidbits has gotten me more and more excited for this game. I cannot wait. I hope you guys enjoy the breakdown. Let's get right into it. So in Wonderlands, you're going to pick your appearance of your character, you're going to pick your class, you're going to spec skill points, and that's going to be one of the main ways that you make your own character. The other way that you differentiate your character, that you focus on making your character strong and a build, is with hero points. Now, hero points spec into classic D&D stats, and you can spend them into different things. And today we have a breakdown on what these things are and what they actually do. We've heard all their names before, but not until today do we actually know what they boosted. So for example, strength is an attribute that you can spec into, and it's going to increase your critical hit damage. Dexterity, another stat, is going to increase your base critical hit chance. We'll talk more about that in a second. Intelligence will give you spell cooldown rate. Wisdom will give you status effect damage. Constitution will increase your maximum health and your maximum ward size, which is your shield. And attunement will give you action skill cooldown rate. I'd love to talk about the implication of all of our characters getting a base critical hit chance, and we'll do that in just a second. But first, I want to finish reading through this article. In addition to being able to have these attributes and spec into them, when you first create your character, you have to pick a dramatic backstory. Were you raised by elves, or perhaps you were a village idiot? Your backstory will give you a starting place to mold your character's stat attributes. Afterwards, you can apply an additional 10 hero points anywhere you wish. So if you've ever played, my biggest experience with something like this is in Dark Souls, when you pick like a knight or a cleric class, you're going to have a different mix of starting attributes, and it sounds like that's the same here. If you pick the village idiot, maybe you'll have a lot of points into strength, but you won't have any points into an intelligence. Now, they get a little bit more specific with how these work. So 10 hero points is the baseline in any stat where you won't see a positive or negative effect, meaning that if you have 10 points into dexterity, you won't have any increased critical chance. You will have just flat, normal critical hit chance. However, if you have a negative below 10, you actually see a negative correspondence. So for example, if you have 8 points into intelligence, your spells will actually take longer to recharge than they would at 10, which would be normal spell recharge, and then at 12 would be increased spell recharge. But you can have negatives to like crit damage, for example. And in addition to picking your backstory, getting those 10 additional points to spend, later down the line, you can respec your hero points at any point. So if you go all into intelligence and you don't like that and you want to try more status effect damage, you can spec into that instead. Same way that you respec your skill points, you can respec your hero points. Now, it says when you pick your backstory, you're going to get molded, and then you have an additional 10 hero points to spend. We don't know how many hero points you get to spend in total. If there is a cap, maybe if you can earn them through gameplay, if you get them when you level up, we just don't know. But we do know that they are going to be influencing the way that you play the game and the builds that you go for. Now, I do want to talk about dexterity because it says base critical hit chance. And in normal Borderlands games, which Wonderlands is not, normal Borderlands games, you shoot an enemy, you get a crit. You shoot them in the head, it crits. Like, there's really no buts about that. Or in their crit spot. Maybe their crit spot is in their head. But if you shoot the crit spot, you crit. The fact that there's a base critical hit chance for any character means that if you shoot an enemy and you've got base critical hit chance and you shoot them in the toe, maybe you could crit them in the toe with your gun. It sounds like every character is going to be getting Megavore. Now, if guns can crit, and we want spells and melee to be good in this game, if there's a base critical hit chance, maybe spells and melee can crit. It would be unfair if we're trying to get all the things to do really well if melee and spells couldn't crit, but guns could, for example. Now, we don't know this, but the fact that you've got a borderline base critical hit chance makes it seem like anything that you do in the game could crit, which is crazy. The implications for that are insane, because, like, let's say you're playing the Berserker and you want to use a Feral Surge. If you've got base critical hit chance, maybe your action skill can crit. Like, there's so many different... I think that could possibly change the way that we play and think about build diversity and possibilities if you can crit with just about anything. Because part of the reason why, like, guns have always been so strong in the Borderlands games is because they crit, and crit damage has always been very strong in Borderlands games. Same thing with status effect damage. We have a stat just for status effect damage. We know for a fact that all 5 elements in the game apply status effects, even dark magic, which is like the lifesteal element. So the fact that status effect damage is a thing means that maybe, for example, your status effect on your dark magic will heal, and the more status effect damage, the better you're healing. Maybe you'll actually be able to go into a viable status effect build in this game because everything has a dot. For example, Cryo did not have a dot in Borderlands, but Cryo now has a dot. Status effect damage sounds like it's going to be more impactful, and the fact that you can boost it seems really promising. Now, obviously, we don't know anything about this, but the fact that there's critical hit damage, base critical, spell cooldown rate, status effect, maximum health, and ward and action skill cooldown rate seems all very cool. Now, one thing I do want to point out is it is a little weird, and I'm curious to where this is going to come in, is that we don't see melee damage increases, gun damage increases, or like spell damage increases. We have spell cooldown rate, we have status effect damage, and we have crit stuff. But like, if you had asked me, Moxsy, what do you think strength's gonna do? I would have told you, I think it's probably gonna boost your melee damage. So the fact that these stats aren't there, maybe you unlock them through like your gear. Like maybe your gear will be more focused on like melee damage. Maybe you can, I don't know, but it is a little interesting that there isn't those like kind of core things. We've always had like badass rank. Maybe there's a badass rank that'll let you spec into that stuff. But the fact that this is now cemented as you're going to be building your character and that you can respec at any time and you get to pick a backstory, I think is really all interesting stuff. And I cannot wait to dive into this game. Obviously, a lot of this stuff is like extrapolation on some of these stats, but the possibilities are definitely there, and I cannot wait to see how this is going to play out. I will leave the article or the link to this article if you guys want to check it out and read it yourself. Let me know what you think. I cannot wait for this. I will catch y'all on the next one. If you guys found the video helpful, I really do appreciate hitting that like button. It does help me out a ton. I will catch y'all on the next one, guys. Take care. Peace.
I was putting